Good afternoon,
Hello,
everyone.
just a minute, Professor Anurag. I will just not add, take more time. I will just say that today it's Dr. Anurag Hamilton, who is from the Department of Mechanical Engineering. He will be speaking on silt erosion in hydro turbines and its preventive measures. He's from the Department of Mechanical Engineering of UVM Jaipur. Professor Anurag, you kindly take over. Today we have foreign speaker again at 4:30, so let us not waste any time at all.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. My topic is silt erosion in hydro turbines and its preventive measures. So I'll be talking about silt erosion and I'll be discussing something about hydro turbines and how we can prevent it. I hope that you will like this topic. So this is my presentation outline, and we'll go to the introduction. So as we all know that hydro turbines are very important for energy security of India. Indian states are totally dependent upon hydropower electricity to
Professor
run
Anurag,
their
I have got a
electric.
request. Professor Anurag, sorry,
Yes, sir.
I will just disturb you again. I have a request. See, yes, time is very, very short, but I will request you to go very slowly. Please don't hurry because it's a shortage of time. You can again take over next Monday. No problems.
Okay, sir.
Okay. You take it
Okay.
slowly. Consider that you are telling this to somebody who do not know about it. Okay. You go. You just take your time. We will continue with this next Monday.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. As I was discussing that hydropower plants are very important for energy security of India, and my topic is related to that. So this is a basic layout of a hydropower plant. Fine. So here, all of you know that what we are doing in a hydropower plant is we are taking the energy from the water and we are running a turbine and we are generating electricity. And when we talk, it's very simple, but in actual practice, it's very difficult. I'll be explaining about that in the coming slides. Uh, so now I want to take you to Naphtha Jati hydropower plant. It's one of the biggest hydropower plant in India in terms of various factors. I'll be explaining them. So on the top, you can see an image. This is an aerial view, and in the bottom left, you can see it's a underground complex. It's the actual image that I have taken. Here you can see that they have 5 turbines, and this is an underground complex, and they have 5 Francis turbines, 250 megawatt each, and they have the largest head race in India. Okay, largest head race tunnel. It is around 27 kilometers. So you can just imagine that the head race of this dam is around 27 kilometers. At the same time, it is the biggest underground structure in India. But they are facing some problems. So what are those problems? We'll just have a look. So now I want to show you one image. Okay, I have taken it from I have taken it online. It's from Hindustan Times. It shows that the plant has to be shut down because of some specific reason. So what is that reason? Because of silt erosion. And now there is one more news. This is from 2019. That's from Mint. It says that India's biggest underground hydroelectric project suspended due to rise in silt particle. So now you know that it's a very big plant, but they're facing a problem, and that problem is because of silt erosion. So now I have a small video. I'll request sir to please play the first video so that people can understand much better about silt.
Doing that.
देश की सबसे बड़ी भूमिगत 1500 मेगावाट जल विद्युत नाथपा जाखड़ी पावर स्टेशन आज दिनांक 12/8/2020 सुबह 7:30 बजे से बंद करना पड़ गया, क्योंकि सतलुज नदी की सहायक खड़ में एकाएक बादल फटने के कारण सतलुज नदी में घात की मात्रा वंगतू में 5000 ppm से बढ़कर 33,000 ppm तक पहुंच गया था। जैसे जैसे गाद की मात्रा 5000 ppm से कम होगी, वैसे वैसे विद्युत उत्पादन शुरू किया जाएगा। परियोजना के अधिकारी विभिन्न स्थानों में खाप, वंगतू, कुंवारी में गाद की मात्रा में निगरानी दिन रात रख रहे हैं। अभी गाद की मात्रा में कमी आ रही है और जैसे ही गाद की मात्रा में कमी आएगी, परियोजना को शुरू किया जाएगा।
You've seen this video.
Kindly share your screen again.
So all of you have seen this video. So you have seen the color of the water. So why I have taken this video, because I want to show you how the water is actually in the Himalayan regions. So water that you see in the plains in the Bay of Bengal is different from the water that you see in the Himalayan regions because of the flash floods, and sometimes landslides are there. So because of that, silt comes along with the water and it creates a lot of problem. It's a nightmare for the engineers who are running the plant. And especially during the monsoon season, it's a big problem for them. So you have seen the problem. You have seen that silt is creating problems. Silt is a little bit different from the sand. So some of the civil engineers will be knowing about that. That silt is a little bit different from sand, but we can use it. We can also call it that it is sand. So now I'll just take you this slide just to explain you that what is silt. And they have also said that project manager has also said that sometimes it reaches to 33,000 ppm. So you can just imagine it's very difficult for the plant manager to run that plant, because if we allow the turbines to be run, it will create a lot of problem. All the silt will be clogged inside the turbines. So when it is below 5,000 ppm, they generally run the plant. So you can imagine that 5,000 ppm itself is a huge amount, because this silt is having a hardness. On the right hand side you can see the hardness. It's a very common scale that we use for hardness. The hardness of silt is higher than the steel, okay, or the stainless steel you can just consider, because the silt is basically it's originating from quartz. So it's very high hardness. The hardness is very high, and at the same time it is angular in shape, because the silt that is coming with the water is fresh. It has not interacted with any other material or any other surface, so its shapes are is in form of a rectangular, we can call it rectangular or a triangular shape. So it creates a lot of problem. Now when I personally went there for my research purpose, I have taken these images. Actually I have not taken it. These images are given to me by them, because cameras and phones are not allowed there inside. So these are the actual images. You can see in your screen that this is the martensitic stainless steel. If some of you are from mechanical or metallurgical background, you can understand the hardness of metallurgical martensitic stainless steel is very high. But this is what happens to the steel. You can see we may think that water is not going to do anything, but the silt that is coming with the water or the sand that is coming is creating a lot of problem. This is the cheek plate, this is the runner. It's totally damaged, and it's not that this is after 3 to 4 years of operation. This is only after 3 months of operation during monsoon season. So you can just imagine what kind of trouble these guys are facing. So now what they're doing, they just take out the turbine and they do the welding, and then they again do the grinding, and they do some kind of coating, and they again place it. So they're repeating this process every year. So it's creating a lot of problem. And when the project was sanctioned, the Siemens and the General Electric, they have warned the government that a lot of silt is there in Himalayan region. But because of that, even because of that warning, they have gone ahead, and this problem is there. Now we'll just look into that. What is the silt erosion hydro turbine? As you can see on the right hand side, the silt is angular in shape. So when it comes and interacts with the substrate, it takes away the material, because the hardness of silt is on the higher side. Now, mechanism of erosion. So mechanism of erosion is very, very complex. So it involves cutting by silt, and then there is subsurface damage. When silt interacts with the surface, there is subsurface damage, and then plastic deformation also takes place, and then fatigue is also there. At the same time, because of all these things, cavitation is there. Cavitation is very important phenomenon, but the biggest problem is the synergy of all these three things. That is the synergy of erosion, cavitation, and corrosion. It's a nightmare for the people who are running the plant, because when they all come together, it becomes very difficult for them to run the plant. So now we have seen that what kind of problem that they are facing. Now some preventive measures for silt erosion. So how we can prevent it? So first is by constructing desilting chambers. So you may be asking, you may be thinking that what is desilting chambers? Desilting chambers are nothing but very big chambers that are used to take out the coarse silt material or the coarse silt particles from the water. So generally what they do, they reduce the speed of water so that the silt or sand particles can settle down. But even after using desilting chambers, as I've told you, they're using 4 desilting chambers and they're around half a kilometer long. They're facing the problem. And second thing is lower rotational speed. You can reduce the speed so that the relative velocity can decrease. Third is by provision of removal of runner from the bottom. So they're doing this thing because in the turbine on the top you have a generator. So you have to give the provision for removal of runner from the bottom. And second last is optimization of hydraulic process by CFD. So before construction, they have already optimized using CFD, but even after all those things, it is not helping. So the last thing or the last alternative is hard coatings. So they are doing hard coatings, but even after hard coatings, we need to understand that I have shown you the video. Why I have shown you the video? Because in 2020, last year, again they have to shut down the plant. So I'll just take you to the next slide. That is for the role of surface coating. So you have seen that there are different types of coating that can be used. We can use PVD coating, we can use CVD, anodizing is there, and different types of coatings are there. But when it comes to hydro turbines, we can only use a specific type, because for PVD and CVD you have to create vacuum, but we cannot create vacuum for such big turbines. They are the size of our room. So we have to go for specialized coating, and those specialized coating are thermal spray coatings. These are new varieties of coating and they are very useful when it comes to hydro turbines. So basically in thermal spray coating, currently most of the industry and Naphtha Jhakri itself, they are using HVOF coating, that is high velocity oxy fuel coating. And there is one more type of coating, that is high velocity air fuel coating. It's the state of art. It's not currently there in India, and it's rarely used by anyone, but it's having very good properties. So I'll just explain that how this thermal spray coating works. So all of you might have seen gas welding. So it is similar to your gas welding or oxyacetylene gas welding. So here we are taking the material, we are giving the heat source, and then we are accelerating the material towards the substrate. And for our hydro turbine application, we are using tungsten carbide, 10 cobalt, and 4 chromium. So it's a composite material, and tungsten carbide gives you the hardness, and cobalt and chromium gives you the matrix. So it's a complete package that they're using for the turbine coating. So now I request sir to please play the second video so that people can see the thermal spray coating.
Yes, doing it. There is no sound in this video, so kindly watch it. Don't bother about the sound. There is no sound in this video.
So this is the thermal spray process that we are using. So it's similar to your oxyacetylene gas welding process. Now I'll take you to the most commonly used process. That is the HVOF process, that is high velocity oxygen fuel process, that currently the Naphtha Jhakri hydropower plant is using. So in this, we will just, what we are doing, we are just feeding the fuel gas, and then we are feeding the powder that we want to be coated, and then it is accelerated towards the substrate. And in this, you may be thinking that how the bonding is taking place between the powder and the substrate. So what is happening is that there is a mechanical bond. At the same time, chemical bond is also there, because the temperature is very high in this condition HVOF process, because we are using the oxygen. And the next process that is not that much popular, but it gives you very good properties, is high velocity air fuel process. In this we are using air. In this we are using air because we want to reduce the decomposition of tungsten carbide. I'll be explaining about it in the later slides. And this is the comparison of HVOF and HVAF process. So in HVOF, the temperature is on the higher side, but in HVAF, temperature is on the lower side, but we are using a higher particle velocity. So when we use higher particle velocity, what happens? The mechanical bondage between the particle and the substrate takes place. So whenever there is a mechanical bondage of particle with the substrate, the decomposition of the coating powder is on the lower side. So whenever decomposition is on the lower side, you get better surface properties. So what we have done is that we have taken these two processes, we have compared it, so that we can use HVAF as a coating method. So for this, what we have done, that we have to simulate the thing. So we have taken some samples, we have constructed the samples, and I'll just show you this one. Yes, we have taken CS6NM steel. So this is martensitic stainless steel that they are currently using for construction of hydro turbines. So it's having very high hardness, around 400 in Vickers scale. So these are the images microstructure you can see in front of you. It's from the optical microscope, and on the right one you can see the SEM images. So you can see the needle-like structure. So these needles are of the martensite. It gives them the hardness. So then for the coating deposition, on the right hand side you can see that this is the coating SEM of the coating powder. Okay, that we have used. We have done this coating in Jodhpur using in a company called Metallizing India, and these are the process parameters. These are the equipments that are being used for the coating. You can see the torch is this HVOF spraying gun is very similar to the torch that we use in our oxyacetylene gas welding process. And then next one is HVAF process, high velocity air fuel process. This is done in Sweden because currently in India there is no company or no vendor that is doing this coating, because it's very new type of process, and very few industries in abroad also they are doing this coating. And these are the process parameters that we have taken, and this is the, on the left hand side you can see the mounting assembly, and on the right hand side this is the spray gun that they have used. This we have done the coating characterization. We have done XRD, we have done SEM analysis, porosity and density measurement, micro hardness testing, tensile adhesion testing, measurement in order to evaluate both of the coatings. So we need to understand that when we come to the coatings, the property that we need to characterize is very different from the base material. So first, after that, what we have done, we have done the coating, and then we have taken those samples for testing. So we need to simulate the erosion environment that is there in the turbines. So it's very difficult for us to simulate those environments, because you need slurry and you need all those equipment. So what we do, and generally in the research field, they take air jet erosion tester, and in place of silt or sand, they use alumina particle, because alumina is having almost similar properties in terms of hardness when we compare it to the silt. So on the right hand side, you can see that alumina is in the form, it's very angular. So it gives you those kind of properties. And these are the parameters that we have taken. And this is the actual image of the tester. Now, when we compare, so this is the erosion mechanism. So we have done the testing at 3 different angles, okay, 30, 60 and 90 degree, in order to study how silt interacts with the your base material. So in 30 degree, you can see that the interaction of the silt with the material is different in comparison to the 90 degree. So at 30 degree, your erodent, your alumina is sliding over the material. So because of that sliding effect, you know, the scar that is observed is very big. So when you go towards the 90 degree, the scar size is getting decreased. So these are the FESEM analysis of the base material, that is your martensitic stainless steel. At lower angles, you can see on the SEM, the lips are formed, okay, because the erodent is sliding over the material. So because of that, lips are formed. But on the higher angles, that is 90°, you can observe the formation of craters. It's a hole that is being formed because the impact is direct. So this is the comparison between two velocities that we have taken, because as we increase the velocity, the material loss will increase. And at the same time, we have observed that at 30°, the mass loss, is material loss, is on the higher side in comparison to the 90°. Now we come to the characterization of HVOF. So in HVOF, this is the XRD analysis. We have done the tungsten carbide retention. This is very important parameter, because in HVOF, as we are using oxygen, so decomposition of tungsten carbide is taking place. And whenever tungsten carbide decomposes, it creates a lot of problem. The properties will decrease. So in this condition, it is around 87%. This is the cross-sectional microstructure. Cross-sectional microstructure is very important in order to study the properties. So on the left-hand side, you can see we have done the mounting, and on the right-hand side, you can see that a lot of porosity is observed. Okay, these are the SEM images, high magnification SEM images, and we have also calculated the density and the porosity in the coating on the higher side when we compare it to the HVF. I'll discuss the HVF in the coming slides. So this is now we come to the mechanical property. The SEM image that you can see is for indentation fracture toughness. So whenever we want to measure the fracture toughness of a coating, you have to go through a specific process, and you have to measure the indentation fracture toughness. And here you can see the hardness. If you are aware about the Vickers hardness scale, you can just see that it is almost around 3 times of your martensitic stainless steel. It's almost around 1100 on Vickers scale. And we have done this tensile addition test also. It tells you that what is the bonding strength of the coating with the base material. And this is again the SEM analysis that you can see. In SEM analysis, again, you can observe that at the lower angles, you see the formation of lifts, and when you go towards the higher angles, the formation of crater is observed. And this is at 2 different angles. We have taken 3 different angles, and we have taken 2 different velocities, 35 and 70 meters per second. So we have seen that as we increase the velocity, the weight loss will increase. Now we come to the HVF. So this is the most important part. When we do the XRD analysis, when we are doing the XRD, we are observing that there is very minute difference between the XRD of the powder and XRD of the coating. It tells you, or what it shows you is that very minute difference has taken place after the coating. It means that it is almost a mechanical bonded coating, because you can see the peaks have not changed, and the tungsten carbide retention is very high. It's around 96%. So the property of the powder has retained. Now this is the microstructure, cross-sectional microstructure of the coating, and on the left-hand side you can see it's a cross-section at the lower magnification. On the right-hand side, it's in the higher magnification, you can see the porosity is on the lower side, and the density is on the higher side. Porosity is also less, around 0.98%, and this is for the comparison. You can compare both the both the coatings. The bottom one is for HVOF coating. You can see a lot of porosity and a lot of oxidation is observed. So it shows that why this porosity is there. This porosity is there because of the oxidation, because we are using oxygen. So because of oxygen, decomposition is taking place. The same thing is observed in the XRD peaks. However, in the case of HVAF coating, as it is a mechanical coating, mechanical bonding is there. So because of that, there is no change in peaks, and the coating is uniform. Again, this is the mechanical property. Here you can see when you come to the hardness, it's almost around 1300 in the Vickers scale. So it's almost around 4 times of the base material. And when you see the indentation fracture toughness, it's giving you very good fracture toughness. So what it shows you, this fracture toughness shows you that the growth of cracks will be limited. If its value is on the higher side, then the growth of the cracks will be limited in the coating. Then this is the FESEM analysis of the eroded HVAF material. Here again you can see at the lower angles, you see the formation of lips, and as you go on the higher side, the formation of crater is observed. And this is the comparison. We have compared it with the base material. We have taken two different velocity. As you increase the velocity, mass loss will increase. And this is the erosion mechanism, okay, for uncoated steel and your coated steel. So for different angles, it is different. And in the case of your uncoated steel, the mechanism is different. And when you come to the coating, it is totally different, because coating is having a little bit different properties. Improvement in the erosion resistance. So here we can see that when we use HVAF coating, there is a considerable increase in the erosion resistance.
Professor
Because
Anurag, sorry to bother you. See, we have to end it. It's 4:26 already. You can understand at
Okay.
4:30 is the foreign lecture. So
Yes, sir.
can we just continue it next Monday?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Tell me, do you want to, if you want to just close it somewhere, then
No, what I'm saying is that can we have the polls, sir?
yes, definitely.
Okay.
So let me start the polls. Then. Okay. I will request all members to kindly answer the poll. So the poll is launched. I'm waiting for the votings. I'm waiting for the votes. It's 32% votes, 33% till now. It's 30 seconds already. I will request you to quickly complete the voting. I'm just waiting for maybe 10 more seconds. 40% votes now. 42% only. Okay, so I will have to close it. It's 1 minute already. I'm closing the votes. It's only 44% votes till now. I will just share the results. These are the results. I think it's visible on screen. So your comments to end with, Professor Anurag, because I don't have any time for the questions, but I'm saving the questions for next Monday. I will put forward all these questions that are there in the questions box. A very quick conclusion, 10 seconds.
Actually, sir, it's not visible for me, but the answer for this question is we cannot minimize it. Okay, the interaction cannot be totally stopped. It can only be minimized. So this is the answer for that poll. And sir, what we can do, we can just have it on Monday or maybe some other day.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
And thanks to all of you. Kindly join the foreign lecture, which will start now. Kindly join. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.